Good morning. It's now 6:30 a.m. so I guess we've come full circle because who the hell wakes up this early to get on an aeroplane? Luckily we packed all last night. All the stuff out is stuff that we need today, and just need to get to the airport now. Hopefully we can sleep on the flight because we had about 4 hours sleep, if that. So see you at the airport. So we're sitting in the boarding gate area. We've got about half an hour until we board. Oh my god, the airport security line was ages long. It took us like an hour to get through security. But we've got a 5-hour flight, and then a 7-hour layover, and then an 8-hour flight. So home stretch now. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to be fine. We got rid of all our coins on those capsule toy machines and got a couple of drinks for the flight, and no more small Japanese money now. We've got a fair bit left over, but we don't need to spend it all. So I'll see you on the flight. So just chilling out in our layover now. The layover is actually only 5.5 hours, so I thought it was 7 hours. That's already a bonus, an hour and a half. But while we're here, let's do a couple of reflections. First of all, we found the chicken burger. Lucy actually found it when we were here last time, but I didn't put it in the vlog. We went back and got another chicken burger. It was the right one this time, and it was just as good as I remembered it. So that's good. But Japan, favorite parts. I love Tokyo. Tokyo was such an amazing, busy, but well-structured and organised city. It had, I don't know what, the population 20 million or so in Tokyo, but it runs so smoothly you couldn't tell. The subway's always on time and so easy to get to where you want to go. The Hedgehog Cafe was by far the highlight on day one, obviously, because it was layovers. But Tokyo is so spread out that it's not like one city hub. It's all over the place. So every day was something completely uniquely different. When we went to Shibuya, past the crossing, that was huge, and met our friends there. All the way to when we went to Disney, which was just a magical day. I think Disney was one of my favorite days of the trip. It was just so perfect, and like it just has the Disney experience, which I know it's tacky and you can get anywhere, but for Lucy's first time at Disney, it was pretty special. Driving into Mount Fuji, that was a pretty cool moment because we just drove around the road and just saw a big mountain. I was like, is that it? Because we could see the entire thing. We were expecting it to be up in the clouds, but it wasn't. And the first day we got there was just so clear and magical, and we went to the music forest, and that was just a gorgeous evening and a gorgeous night. And the next day when we went to the ice caves, that was one of the coolest parts of the trip, both literally and figuratively. It was just really cool walking down the ice caves and walking through the snow. I've missed the snow. Kyoto was cool. I miss Hiro. Hiro was so good. Hiro made the day. He was so nice and so friendly and warm, and pretty much all the people in Japan were friendly and warm. I think that's one of the things I'm going to miss most about Japan, is the fact that everyone there is so genuinely nice, and like they always wave hello and say hello, and they just respect other people, which is very strange coming from Australia, because we don't give a about anyone else. So it was really just nice to see coming from Japan. Another thing I am going to miss, the bidets. It took a while to get used to them, but once you got used to them, they were surprisingly efficient. I don't think Lucy got used to them.
What's this?
The bidets. Did you use them?
I never use them.
Never used them, but I did. Would use again. I kind of want one. I found a Hello Kitty one with like a blow dryer as well. It's only like $400. The Golden Temple in Kyoto was just one of the most mind-blowing things as you walk in and see it, because the sun was shining right at it, even though it was raining at the time. It was like a sun shower, and you could see it shine from just around the corner, and that was just absolutely gorgeous. The rock gardens were amazing. The Gion district Lucy absolutely loved. She said that was her highlight of at least Kyoto, if not the trip, and seeing a mica. That was pretty cool.
It's not mica.
What is it? Mika?
No.
What is
Maiko
it?
and Geico.
Miko. Okay. We saw it, Miko.
Daniel, mica is a shiny rock.
Hiroshima was one place which I was sort of excited but didn't want to get to because I knew it would be tough, and it was. The museum, the main part of the museum was actually under renovations when we went there, so we only had a side part of the museum, but they crammed a lot in there and they moved a lot of the main exhibit across, but they've just done it so well. The last part was by far the hardest, but it's something that I really can't explain, but I would urge anyone who is remotely interested to go there and read every single panel and just take it in, because it was such a powerful day that I don't think I'll ever forget it. Back into Osaka as our last port of call, last city. Osaka Universal was just a magical experience, excuse the pun, but the Harry Potter world honestly could be a park in itself, and it should be, because that was just an amazing day, an amazing afternoon. And I didn't get the wands the first time, but we got them this time, and it was just so much fun. It felt so fun walking around Harry Potter Hogsmeade with a wand in your hand. I can't really explain it. You just have to go there and see for yourself, because it seems so stupid walking around with a stick in your hand pointing into things and things are happening, but it was just a great experience, and I would recommend that to anyone. Back into Nara with the deer. We only went to Nara for the deer. We're out of temples. We just could not see another temple if we wanted to. But the deer were just amazing. They were so friendly. And
Some of them.
Most of them were so friendly and so calm. There were a couple of little assholes in there who would headbutt you and bite your ass. But hey, I would do the same if someone was holding cookies and didn't give me one, so I can't really put it against them. Osaka Castle. That was cool. I was expecting it to be similar to a palace, but it really was just something completely different. The way they built it with the huge stones, and if you've ever watched Pokemon, you know how they move Snorlax up the hill in that one episode with like logs and that rope and people tugging Snorlax and moving the logs as the Snorlax goes up the hill? That's exactly how they move the big rocks. So Pokemon is teaching you history there. But the way they built it in such a fashion that it's set up for defense, even the holes and little places to pour boiling water on people, it was genuinely used as like an offensive and defensive castle, which I found super interesting. So, things that I'm going to miss about Japan. Number one is their trains. They're just incredible. The bullet trains were just so fast, and we should 100% have them in Australia, because it would take like an hour and a half to get from Sydney to Melbourne and 2 hours to get from Sydney to Brisbane. Why don't we have this in Australia? It just works so well. But then again, we can't get our local trains right because they're always 20 minutes late. So I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss the fact that Japan actually takes their rubbish home and just doesn't leave it on the street. They don't have any public garbage bins anywhere, but somehow the streets are the cleanest I've ever seen. It's so weird. I'm going to miss the rice, because everywhere you go serves rice, and I just love rice. And because Japanese rice is just stickier, so you can pick it up with chopsticks and eat it. It's just great. I could have lived off rice the entire trip. The Kit Kats. The one thing that got me with the Kit Kats is that yes, they did have a lot of weird, unique flavors, but they were only in tourist stores, which always made me think, are they just in tourist stores because no one actually eats these weird flavors? Everyone goes to Japan knowing that there's weird flavors of Kit Kats, but no one ever eats them locally. So of course we got some and we tried a lot, probably too many, but yeah, I just thought they were going to be more common and more popular. Why do Japanese people give you like 14 extra bags when you buy something? Like, I just want one bag. I don't want 14 different bags to throw out in the hotel room. On the same note, why are there so many receipts? Oh my gosh. I would come home and just pull receipts after receipts after receipts out, and I bought 4 things that day and I have 15 receipts. What's that about? I'm not going to miss the receipts, and I'm not going to miss the extra bags. I probably should have learned how to say no extra bags needed in Japanese or something like that, but there's only so much a no will get you. So things that I was expecting to be different. I thought there was going to be a lot more sushi, but we hardly ever saw a sushi place the entire trip. So we were talking to, I think it was Hiro or someone, asking about why is there not enough sushi, or why is there not many sushi places, and apparently it's only for the rich people. So it's always in expensive parts of the neighborhoods or high up in fancy hotels and just for the rich people. So we never really came across any. I mean, lucky for me because I don't really like sushi, but I would have tried some if we came really across it. We came across a lot of udon. It seemed to be like udon is the place thing, or they're big on their meat and rice bowls. I wasn't really expecting that. It was difficult to find a ramen place. You'd have to actually look for one. I thought they'd be everywhere. But in saying that, they didn't actually have like food courts as such. Well, like in Australia, we have food courts where you can have food from everywhere. Japan don't do that. They only have Japanese food and the odd Maccas. If you want a snack, we did it a fair bit. Family Mart or 7-Eleven. Speaking of 7-Eleven, I thought there were going to be a lot more than there were, because everyone says there's a 7-Eleven on every corner. That's wrong. There's a Family Mart on every corner. I don't know why people don't see Family Mart as the main one, but I think it's the main one. I thought driving on Japanese roads would be a lot harder. Obviously with the population of however many they have, I thought it was going to be a lot more crowded and more trafficy, but the experience that I had was just smooth and free-flowing and easy, and I thought even like the place names or the street names or the turns would be a lot more difficult to understand, but it really wasn't. I found it difficult to find places. If you wanted to look for somewhere to eat, it was very difficult. We found out in like the later half of the trip that in order to find a place to eat, often you have to go through the dodgy alleyway and then up some stairs, because nothing was at street level that you really wanted. Street level was mainly for local sort of stuff, whereas if you wanted food you'd have to go upstairs or to a big touristy area, often in case which is marked up the price and very expensive. Another thing is, I said it was well structured and because there's a large population, the trains work so well. But in saying that, if you go to the busy areas like Shibuya, Shinjuku, Akihabara, even the parks, once it gets to that crowded point, everyone, all the locals know that it's just getting from A to B and they don't care if they bump into you. Lucy felt this a fair bit. Obviously I wouldn't, because I'm a bit taller and bigger, so people don't really bump into me, but if you're smaller you might get a little bit crowded in the crowds. I thought the temples would be older. I thought there'd be a lot more history and culture behind them, but because everything was either burnt down or bombed in the war, everything was pretty much rebuilt in the last 90 or 100 years. So while there is a lot of history in the sites, a lot of the buildings like Osaka Castle or the Golden Temple, those are buildings that have been built in the last century. So it's not really showing what it was like back then, rather showing a reconstruction of what it was, which I thought was just going to be different. So things I actually missed about Australia while I was over there. First of all, the language. There was a lot of English in Japan. Everywhere we went, most people knew some sort of broken English. but if we needed to hop in the occasional taxi, or if we needed to walk into some restaurants and there was just no English, it was difficult because we'd walk past the tourist places and we'd see or we'd just hear an Australian accent and we're everywhere. It's something that is, you just miss it when you go overseas, and when you hear an Australian accent, it just brings you back, and it's like, I miss Australian accents, I miss talking to people in Australian accents. I miss the meat from Australia, because meat in Japan, while it's great, it's just so expensive for like the tiniest cuts of meat. Australia have like the big cuts of meat and it's so cheap compared to Japan. Speaking of Japanese food, it's always really cheap or really expensive. There's no in between. So you could either go out to dinner and spend maybe $20 for both of you, or you could go out to dinner and spend $100. Like there's no $30-40 mid-range range for food. Another thing I won't miss, vlogging in public. No matter how much you do it, you always feel stupid as hell standing up or sitting down or walking and talking to a camera in public. Even now, we are currently sitting at an airport lounge, and there's like everyone looking at me. So I feel kind of stupid and kind of annoying because these people are just trying to get on their flights, and I'm just talking very loudly. So I'm not going to miss doing this, but in saying that, I thought I was going to fail. I honestly thought I would keep up after day 3, but somehow or other we managed to get right to the end, which is a great surprise. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, I just didn't think I was going to make it, but here we are, day 17, and we're vlogging in the middle of an airport. So things that we would do differently or things we would regret, there's not a lot of regrets. I think that we felt that every single day we're glad we did it. But in saying that, if we had to plan it again, I would have actually liked to drive more. I know the trains are amazing and I love the trains and they work so well, and it doesn't make sense to drive when the trains work so well and is so cheap. But in saying that, driving on Japanese roads, you see all of the countryside in a different way to the train. It was so much fun driving, and I would just love to drive from Tokyo all the way down to Hiroshima. One thing I would do for next trip though is get like a dedicated video camera and a dedicated photography camera, because a lot of my photography was just stuff I took videos of. I feel like every city we went to, we spent enough days there. I think overall we generally got it right. However, we would have liked more days in Osaka. We probably could have done Nara from Kyoto instead of Osaka, but in saying that, we didn't know what either city would be like before we went. Kyoto was more a traditional city. It was a lot smaller and there was less things to see that weren't just thousands of temples. Whereas Osaka was a busy city, it was an industrial city, and there was lots of things to see. And we tried our best to see it all in the time we had there, even using the nights. But I feel like if we had to do everything again, we would have done Nara from Kyoto and spent an extra day in Osaka. Tokyo was a bit of a mixed city for both Lucy and I absolutely love Tokyo. It was probably my favourite point of call. And Tokyo was one of those cities where you could honestly spend a year there and see something new every single day because it's so big and there's so much to do. So I felt we spent the right amount of days in Tokyo. And Lucy doesn't regret a single day in Tokyo. But we also probably could have done without that last day, going back to Asakusa and Odaiba. So if we had to drop a day, we could have done that. We didn't really do anything that day. It was more of a relaxing Valentine's Day, I guess. But I absolutely loved Tokyo, and I feel like I probably could have spent another 2 weeks there. But I think Lucy was really excited to go to Kyoto and the Gion district. At some point, you get to a point in every city where you're just ready to leave. And I think we felt that in most cities by the last day, except for probably Osaka, because we didn't actually see Osaka, but because Osaka was the last place we went to, on the last day we were just ready to leave the country. It wasn't anything to do with the city. We could have spent another day in Osaka easily doing the things around there, but it was more we were ready to leave the country and we just wanted to go home. So overall, I guess that our first trip away alone together was pretty successful. I was expecting to get lost a lot more than we did. I was expecting things to go arse up a lot more than I was expecting it to go arse up at some point or other, and it really didn't. Things went pretty smoothly, and which is quite surprising because nothing ever really goes perfect. But I'm not saying this trip went perfectly, but it went as well as we could hope for. The people are what made the trip for me. Just everyone we talked to. I think on every single day we were just talking to someone. Someone new, someone about Australia or about Japan or about what they do or their culture. My woodworking friend. That was just a great moment. I really want to go back there one day and just see how he's doing and what he's done. I think that'd be so cool.
And buy the fish thing.
And buy the fish thing. Definitely buy the fish thing. Or buy something big from him, because the work he does, he deserves the price it was, but it was just a bit expensive for us at the time. So I think we are just gonna vlog the rest of the trip. There won't be much, it'll just be the plane landing in Sydney, and we'll probably leave it in Sydney. So that's about it for my reflections. If I have anything else, I won't tell you because you've probably watched like 4 hours of vlogs at this point, so I think it's a good place to end it here. Well, we just got home. It's about midday, so from the time we landed at about 10, it's taken us about 2 hours to get home, which isn't too bad. Fish are alive. Thanks Jules, thanks Aaron. But apart from that, I think we're gonna have a nap. I think that's what's on order here. And have a shower, use your own toilet, so the stuff you missed from coming home. So I think, thank you for watching all 4 hours or something of these vlogs if you got this far. Even if it is just me and Lucy watching this in a year, 2 year, 10 years time. Hi, me. So we're gonna leave it here. I will catch you maybe on the next holiday, maybe not, we'll see. But it's been fun.